The Butthole Podcast.
Welcome to the butthole. It's your chance. Do your dance at the butthole.
It's the bit.
Check it out.
I mean, if the last thing I ever saw was an alien, I'd die happy.
We just want to say before this thing starts, thank you so much to our loyal listeners, and here you go with another great Butthole podcast. Brought to you by Star Lamar, Brandon, Gage's Rage, and Scott on the Butthole Podcast Network.
Aliens!
Batman! Oh shit, I fucked that one.
Aliens! Aliens Part 2 coming at you hard.
Aliens!
As you guys know, last week, y'all listened to it, Aliens Part 1, we broke down our beliefs of what we think aliens are, if we think they're real, how we picture them, you know, all the nuts and bolts of it. Now, Part de dos, we are going to be talking about modern marvels, so things that people believe that alien technology helped build, and then the ever infamous Area 15. Oh, 51. My bad. Sorry.
And I will say, if you remember from watching last week or from listening last week, we had good reviews on it. We had good reviews on it. People liked it.
Yes.
The modern day Marvels was the one that last week you were really upset that we weren't going to do on the cast.
I was at midnight and we stopped the cast. So
next week we should probably do Modern Marvel.
Yeah, so we should probably push that off again.
We'll catch you sometime.
I was just in my groove. That's what it was. I was amped. I did a lot of research. Did a lot of research last night. Did you guys watch the video I sent you last night?
Creepy.
Of course I didn't.
I had seen it. I had seen it before.
Links your friend sent you?
No, because normally it's
You've
just
seen that
penises.
I've seen that before, yeah. I think it's been... Wow, this is a little bit dicey. I think that's been accused of being doctored. But I don't believe it.
I think everything that has to do with aliens is accused of being doctored.
So
it's
one of them...
about it.
There was a conspiracy that one of them was doctored, but it was because the actual... It wasn't that part. It was the dissecting of aliens. That was doctored because they'd already done it, and the footage was lost or something, so then they reanimated what it was. This one, 100% legit.
Eerie as fuck.
Very.
Gage,
I didn't listen to it with volume.
There was no volume. It was just eerie noises.
Oh, yeah.
So last night I sent it to Gage, and Gage says, "What the fuck, dog? Why would you send that to me this late at night?"
It's true.
That's when you just turn on Fuller House and fall asleep to some wholesome goodness.
Thank God.
Yeah. Or some Family Guy. Family Guy would work, too. Some wholesome goodness. Nice,
I mean, it was
American
pretty
family.
creepy before, but then when the flashlights come on, and that's...
He's having a seizure.
Can we link this video to something so people can watch it?
Yeah, we can post it on our website.
All right, we'll post it on our website.
Absolutely.
Go to officialbutthole.com and watch the crazy alien video.
All right. So, we'll start with some modern-day marvels, because just to reiterate, everybody believes...
Absolutely.
In some capacity. All right. The first modern-day marvel is a place called... Sascayhuman.
Sexy woman?
Sexy woman.
Sexy woman. That is a modern-day marvel.
Just so you know, it is a 4 out of 5 difficulty pronunciation level, so...
Can we do one more time, having Google do it?
Let's turn it all the way up.
Sascayhuman. Yeah, sexy woman.
Sascayhuman.
So... Sascayhuman.
Sounds like you're asking your really drunk friend what he's looking for at the bar.
Sascayhuman. It's essentially, we'll post pictures because I have photos here. Otherwise, you can look it up, but it's really hard to type too. It's like a large retaining wall. It was built by the Incas back in the 1400s CE, which is Common Era. We got in that last week, but we won't get back into it again this week. And the rocks weighed up to 600 tons each, which would be 720,000 pounds. They were also transported over 20 miles before they were set in place like a fucking Tetris puzzle.
And they were put in place like a fucking Tetris puzzle.
It's like a 3-tier retaining wall. And all these rocks, they're all sorts of different sizes. They're not uniform.
And these things come together like... I don't even know what the right term would be.
Like Legos.
Beer and pizza. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just fits together like a glove.
Lamb and tuna fish.
Yeah. Like, what does Gage have?
Peanut butter and blowjobs.
There it is.
Who's a good boy?
All right.
You
So,
guys always take it to the dirty side, damn it. Women like peanut butter too.
well, there's that. All right, history as we know it, what they tell us is there were 20,000 workers that worked in rotation. There were 6,000 that worked in the quarry and 4,000 that worked in the trenches. And then they just alternated. The other 10,000 worked, the other 10,000 had off. And then they used some sort of rope and lever system to move them.
What the?
Was this? This is what I struggle with, and here comes my stupidity showing up yet again. Was the power of levers and ropes and leverage even a thing back then? Like, did they have that technology?
Yeah.
I think so.
They knew that if you use levers and stuff, that it would leverage the ability to be able to lift 20.
That's
Well,
like original science shit.
I mean, when aliens gave it
360
to him.
tons pieces of rock.
well, if
the amount.
if you're sitting there and you're going, I need to lift that somehow, we'll grab our smartest people at the time and we're going to figure out how we can lift this. They say take 10,000 people and use a levy and pulley system.
Lever and pulley. But, like, I struggled so hardcore with this.
I think it's when the aliens gave it to him. But I think one interesting note here as well. A quick Google search says that this place has an elevation of 13,000 feet. Peru? It's up in
It's
the
in
mountains.
Peru. What you'll find out is that a lot of these on this list are in South America, around Peru, Chile, right off that area.
So, I mean, fuck. Workers are cool and all, but that is some treacherous altitude.
Exactly.
Not only lifting them in place, which is a matter of lifting them up about, 6-7 feet and sliding them over, how do you move them 20 miles?
Or place them perfectly into that line.
Exactly.
On the wall.
Well, how do you move them 20 miles? Let me introduce you to the wagon and wheel.
How do you spell Sascayhuman?
It's like sack.
It's SEXY space WOMAN.
Just hit the images.
Wow, your Google search is
Search.
way different than mine. It's
SAKSAH.
SASCAY.
Sascayhuman.
So SASCAY human.
That's
Or-
what blew
I
my
got it.
mind, though, is the freaking elevation.
13,000.
And then the 20
Great.
miles, plus the rock size. Like, I'm sorry, but there's only one way to explain this.
aliens.
There we go. That's
What
my
were- Was
theory.
it a fort? What were they building it for?
It just looks like a retaining wall. It looks like some sort of defense system, maybe.
Many retaining walls.
Well, yeah,
Well,
I mean
three
it's
of 'em.
3 tiers of them, but it runs a long ways.
There also could have just been giants back then, but that's for another podcast.
I
Fair
personally...
Oh,
We'll talk
What?
about it in another different podcast or other
Giants.
within this one, but I believe 100% giants are a thing. I still think they're real. Should we talk about them right now?
No.
the
Okay,
bunny
we'll
trail.
wait about it.
All right,
Are you sure
Moving-
you don't want to talk about giants?
I do want to talk about giants.
Just not
We'll
today.
wait. We can wait on it.
We'll pay that one off.
We'll pay this one off, Superfan Brooke. Don't worry.
Number 2, the Nasca Lines. NAZCA lines. They're called geoglyphs. So essentially what they are is they're just etching into rust-colored rocks. And so when they etched them, it left this white marking on them. And I think over time it started to fade a little bit, but nonetheless it still left out a bright coloration of them. And what they did is they etched them into animals, mostly just animals. There's spiders, monkeys, hummingbirds, and there's another one that kind of looks like...
A
Kinda looks like
dinosaur.
Yoshi,
Yoshi.
Jigglypuff, Charizard, but one of them looks like an alien.
What
Legit-
is that one?
That one looks like Yoshi.
Yoshi.
Yeah, that one legit looks like Yoshi. That one's not on my list here though.
Yeah, I see the alien one.
And so what's interesting about these is the longest run of straight lines runs for miles, and they're over 1,200 feet across. So they create over, I believe it's 300 different geographical shapes, and there's over 800 lines. Now what's interesting about it is they were constructed somewhere between 500 BCE and 500 CE.
Do you mean...
BJ and AJ.
yeah,
My
there
bad.
we go. Your
500
timeline was
BJ
right off there.
and 500 AJ.
HJ.
HJ.
HJ, my bad. But the kicker
Have
is
AJ give you an HJ?
they're
Move on.
they're mostly visible from space. When you fly over with the plane, that's how you see them. And when these lines run for miles, it's hard to see something, a shape of a spider, when you're standing ground level and it runs for miles.
And
it's
it's
impossible.
In a flat land, right?
Yes.
There's not mountains around that they were looking down from or anything
This
like
is
that.
all on flat land here.
So you mean to tell me that this was constructed without any sort of outside help from anything per se? Maybe, I don't know, aliens.
That's not what I would say.
Done by, with the fact that these things run for miles. The shapes are around 1,200 feet across, the biggest ones.
300 shapes, 70 different animal figures.
2,000 years ago.
Yes, roughly. A little under, like 2,000, 9,000, I don't know, 1,900.
Boys, I think after doing the deep dive and looking at the research, there's only one way to explain these.
Aliens.
So, the why, they don't really have a reason why they made them. They're believed to have been something aligned with the constellations, or it was some sort of ceremony or ritual for water fertility. That's their best guess. My theory, aliens are artists too, you fucking pricks. They just wanted to draw.
I like it.
Do they draw stuff that they had in their land? Because most of the stuff is stuff on Earth.
Yes, but they're
They're
distorted.
communicating to other people what type of animals there are down here or something like that.
Oh, like when you
Possibly.
drive by, like, this is where the wolves and spiders are.
Yeah, there's spiders here. There's Yoshis here. There's because it said there's put different flowers, plants, animals, kind of just things that are around in the area.
Maybe
I'm
it's just
assuming.
It's like when you drive down the highway and there's the blue sign that says rest stop here,
Oh.
Burger King, Chick-fil-A.
I found some
Whatever.
information
Delicacies.
that goes against.
I don't
you.
want to hear about your hills.
It says, "Oh, you knew about the hills.
I knew about the
you
hills.
knew
I
about
left
the
out pertinent
hills,
information.
and you were withholding information. That is not good journalism, Brandino.
Nobody
There
said
are.
Nobody said I
Although
wasn't
many
biased.
think these lines can only be seen from the air, they're also locatable from the hills that surround the Pampas.
Fuck is this guy? Fact check?
I'm just saying, you can't give people half the information. That's how.
So what? They had some guy just
Yeah,
sitting up
you
on the
can.
hill, just shouting, "A little more to the right."
He might have designed it from up there, made lines with his hands, and said, "Oh, okay." I
Still
know
to
I'm
be
gonna
able
do
to
this."
run straight lines over 1,200 or over miles? I don't know.
And this says that all the miles in total are 808 miles of dug up dirt.
It's crazy.
2,000 years ago.
Absolutely crazy.
They had nothing else to do. There wasn't Netflix.
Or a little laser beam from sky.
Could be. A little CNC machine up there. Interesting note, also in Peru.
Peru's got some
Hotspot.
real fuckery going on in it.
Hotspot.
What if Peru is just like the lost city of Atlantis and had advanced technology and stuff from before, and
Oh, you mean before it got set back by something?
or they decided let's go underwater and leave these dumbass humans behind?
Fair.
That's a good thought.
Wouldn't blame him for a second.
That's for another podcast. Though.
The third, Easter Island. Have you guys heard of this one? I think this is one of the more famous ones on the list.
Yeah, I've heard of Easter Island before.
I don't have much to say about it. It's a large fleet of human stone figures that are 900. There's 900 of them to be exact. They average 13 feet tall and weigh about 14 tons each. And I believe they came from other areas, and they're all like etched into human shapes and stuff like that. So I don't know too much about this one, but just the feat to be able to move it was kind of the crazy part of it. But 14 tons is a hell of a lot less than 36 tons, so if they could do one, they could probably do the other.
Believable.
Number 4 on the list, Stonehenge. Everybody knows what this one is, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll explain it to our listeners if you guys don't. It's a huge circle of stones that weigh as much as 50 tons, hundreds of miles away from where they're actually quarried in. It was built around 2900 BJ, and the civilization has been left behind nothing to let us know actually how they were built or transported. So moving them would have been a real bitch, and even if they had the wheel back then, which it wasn't, it still would have been a real bitch to move these things. So at this point, we were just rocking fire.
Yeah, it's
And muscle.
Giants.
giants are feasible at this point. I believe giants before I believe human beings did this.
Agreed.
personally.
They're big.
The Stonehenge is freaking like that still blows my mind that humans did that.
But when you look at comparing these things to each other, there's not a lot of the same. Are they different aliens that did it? Because Stonehenge is way less technical than everything you've mentioned before. It's kind of just a bunch of rocks in a circle and stuff like that, where the one is a complete like fort wall that looks like it has a purpose. One is animals drawn over hundreds of miles. Like they don't seem related at all.
What if they were just trying to show all of their capabilities?
And Stonehenge is the oldest one, correct?
As far as I know, yeah.
According to this research. So
Yeah.
maybe they're getting their calibrations down. Oh, we can lift up this giant stone. What if we could carve something into it, make it look like faces? Oh, what if we could just carve right into the ground? What if we can help our human beings out down there and build them a little defensive wall?
Maybe they were going at the rate that humans were developing.
How do they know when it was built? This might be the science that's over my head.
It's assumed. I think it's a
I think they have like a range.
educated guess most times.
Probably based off of like some geology with the rocks or something like that.
And
Not
they
a
have some sort
rock
of
scientist or anything.
yeah, very
gotta be some
close
shit over our
estimation
heads.
based off of
Fossil or
The
decay.
carbon dating and stuff like that.
exactly.
But I
half-life.
think that would tell you how old the rock is, not how long the rock's been there.
And this is I don't know.
They
if
were
we're gonna-
quarried, is what they said.
in
So
the-
they were chiseled out. So maybe that had something to do with it. It's like if you cut a tree, you can tell how it regrows and how long it is. Maybe. I don't know.
on the Modern Marvels. Were you going to bring up the pyramids at all?
It's coming.
Okay.
It's coming.
'Cause
Saving the
that
best for
also
last.
comes in here with the aging and stuff. There's kind of been a breakthrough with the pyramids.
Yeah. So their theory and how they moved them, because like I said, they were over 100 miles away from where they were actually quarried, was that they used logs to roll them. That was the best theory on it. The reason people believe it was aliens is they think that it's a landing pad. They think it's a spot for the spaceship to see, to land, and it's a safe spot for them.
Little bullseye.
Exactly. The big H for the helicopter. See, we got something from them. Number 8. Oh, wait. Shit. I jumped from 5 to 8 because I didn't have anything written down for 5, 6, 7. So number 8 is the face on Mars. You guys heard of this one before?
I have.
No.
So in 1976, the Viking 1 sent pictures back to home base from Mars. Along with those pictures was a rock that appeared to look like a human face or potentially an alien face. NASA originally said that the image was just an effect of shadows on a hill, but the general public didn't believe them. If you look at the picture of it, it looks a lot like a face.
Yeah, it does.
Definitely.
I mean,
Cydonia
is that I think that's the area on Mars that they found it.
contains the face on Mars, located about halfway between Uranus crater. How does it say how big it is?
It's pretty damn big based on the picture.
Yeah, I mean, there's
1.5 kilometers. And
fuck
in American terms,
It's like a mile?
So you mean the terms that matter?
A little less than a mile?
that converted to miles is about 0.62.
So a little over half a mile.
No, that'd be 1 kilometer, so it'd be closer to a mile. 0.8.
Wonder Lake, baby. It's smoky, guys.
Oh, I
Looks
didn't
like
hear
face. Easily just be shadows, like they said.
Yeah, I think some of the other pictures, if you look at them, there is like a time lapse of different parts of the day. I think they went back there maybe like 30 years later, and it does appear to be a little bit different depending on the shadows. But nonetheless.
It also could have been more washed
aliens.
out 30 years later.
Exactly.
A little bit of wind abrasion.
There's a lot of wind, I'm pretty sure, on Mars.
Yeah.
Don't fact check that.
Almost no climate.
But did you know if you melt the core of Mars, you can give it an atmosphere and water shows up and stuff like that?
Andromeda.
Because they're trying to charge people for air on Mars. You have to pay for air. So that's the big racket that they're trying to run. But if you unfreeze the core, it releases an atmosphere out and all the lakes come back and stuff like that.
Are you just fucking with Gage right now?
Yeah,
or
what do you
No,
get that
I'll
shit? I'd like
see you
some.
at the party, Richter. You guys never seen this? I don't know what my next movie's going to be. Total Recall? Never?
Nope.
Jeez, Burrs, you guys are young. Arnold? Come on.
I was like, where is he? I
Well, now I just
almost,
ruined the ending for you, so we'll see. If
I
you guys
literally
enjoy it.
almost asked. I literally almost asked you, what movie is this from?
It's from a real movie.
Don't watch the remake of that one either. Actually, the remake has this cool thing where they drilled through the center of the Earth all the way to the other side, and you can travel all the way to the other side of the planet by getting dropped down, and you reach the middle, and the gravity changes, and the whole thing flips. You can go from like America to China in 9 minutes or something like that.
That's cool.
It's like the
Getting
core.
dropped.
That's what friggin'
But as a whole, the old one's way better.
Tesla. What the fuck?
Elon
Hey,
Musk.
Elon
Musk is working on.
Musk has got a good birthday, by the way. The theory is that it's remnants of an ancient Martian civilization. Maybe like a statue or something like that.
I like
Of
the theory.
course it is. Why else would it be there?
Because it's a hill that just
Little
happens
signal.
to look like face.
You're ridiculous. It's for sure Martian civilization.
Now, for Gage,
Yes.
the last one that I have on my list is the
I
pyramids.
feel like Gage has a hot take on this.
He's just amped.
Oh, he's getting ready to build a pyramid.
It's probably the most famous alien building conspiracy, I would say. The pyramids are not only an absolute marvel, but they're also built 4,500 years ago. So just the sheer factor that they did that back then, which might date that back to around the same time as the Stonehenge.
I think that theory is
That'd be-
actually kind of out of date now. Because, they just looked at it and determined it was so-and-so years old. But there's actually a guy on Joe Rogan that is archaeologist, I think is their term. Guys that study rocks.
Archaeologists?
That would have been,
Yeah.
that would have been
Thanks.
2480, roughly 2500 BC.
So pretty close to Stonehenge.
Sorry, BJ.
Yeah. He put it at
Which-
10,000 BJ. Because he thinks there was an interior layer that was kind of sealed off. And they had channels built throughout the pyramids to protect this interior tomb that was it was kind of designed like as a safe to protect what's inside. So there was like air channels that, I mean, people could theoretically live in the pyramid, not just tomb themselves in like they were thought to be.
Odds that
What?
inside that channel, Transformers.
I don't know about that,
Okay.
but
Fucking kidding me?
there's chambers inside of pyramids that they've
Yeah.
discovered
like living
with,
quarters.
Yes, yep, with air channels lived into them.
So they
And
can
then-
breathe.
It was something like 6,000 BJ. There was like tremendous storms, like out of this world storms that no one can kind of really prove. That's where all this weathering comes on the pyramids.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of tough to get a solid date on how old they think the pyramids are, but
It's
those are
mostly a guess
evolving
anyways.
very much in our lifetime right now.
And so the Egyptian pyramids are different than like the Mayan and the Incas or
Yeah.
Aztecs. They weren't built nearly as well as these ones either, and they were done centuries later, according to modern history.
What about like the Sphinx? Is that part of the pyramids?
Those
Those
are
would be part of
on
Or
the
is-
front.
Was that built? Were they all built at the similar time, or were some built later?
I believe it was kind of all around the same time, but I'm not too sure.
Because isn't there like a city literally right next to it? So all the pictures show like a desert behind it.
Now there is,
There's
yeah.
a city on the other side of it if they took pictures from the other side.
Yeah, it's not as far away and out in the blank desert as
they
it appears.
lead you to believe, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So there's 3 pyramids in total. 2 of them were built almost identical, and the other one was just a little bit smaller. Each has millions of precisely chiseled blocks and weighed at least 2 tons each. So I mean, to do that and to get that up where they did,
A lot of slaves.
2 tons each and millions.
A lot of slaves.
But you're talking tens of thousands of slaves to do this, right?
I'd
Yes.
say
Weren't the
hundreds
big
of
ones
thousands.
expected? I thought it was like almost 190,000 slaves or something to build the big ones.
I don't know the numbers on that. Fact check.
Or just one alien and one spaceship. I mean,
Maybe 2 aliens. Maybe 3 and the
Little
third one got
spotter.
tired.
precisely cut the labor just to make these stones in that time.
It was crazy.
I'm going to go back to our last podcast where we asked the question, why haven't they made contact yet? And your guys' response was, because we're not ready for it.
She wasn't ready.
So why were they making contact 2600. Is this a Prometheus type theory?
For
that
sure.
they actually brought life to this planet? Is that what you guys are thinking? They
For
came
sure.
here, built these things, gave life, and now they just haven't been back since. They
Exactly.
were colonized, basically. We are the aliens.
One of the theories I'm kind of buying into is that these storms that were about 6,000 BJ were kind of like a reset. Kind of washed away and destroyed civilization. And
Yes, that's exactly what I think.
reset.
So maybe not
Been a
alien,
reset
but
in history. Because there's been shit that was done before, like before Gage brought up this idea, and this is real time. I'm learning about this theory from Gage, which is a rock solid theory. I thought it would have been somewhere
No pun
around the
intended.
year 0, but at some point it seems as though stuff's been reset. Because like you look at the Romans and the Roman Empire, they had damn near modern day plumbing. Like there's been advances in history that have been ridiculous.
yeah.
I think there's been multiple, to tell you the truth. I don't think there was just one event. I think there's been tons.
To reset history.
So,
Ice Age.
yeah, but so we find fossils from dinosaurs and from things that we can date back through carbon dating and all that centuries before we're talking about right now. Why haven't we found any signs of civilization in any of these findings?
Well, if you think about
Because it's all been
decay,
wiped out and rebuilt on.
if you think about decay, dinosaurs turn into oil. So eventually they decay. And they just turn into oil reserves.
They
Maybe
fossilized.
things, everything decays eventually.
And dinosaurs, I mean, you talk about a dinosaur dying 10,000 years ago and decaying. It's going to be... it's going to be really hard to...
God, you're such an
Decay that
idiot.
fast?
It's at least 11,000.
The
Well, the Earth is 4.5 billion years old, estimated.
yes.
Yeah, so it's strange that we haven't found anything that we can... I mean, we've dated the Earth at that. Is that based off of the sun or based off... What's the...
I think it has something to do more so with the solar system than it's been by...
Than anything we've found on Earth that we can date as that old?
Yeah.
I mean, who's to say it's not older? I mean, for a long time, we thought that the Earth was flat. Some people still do.
Really quick, it's guessed that it would take 10,000 workers more than 30 years to build one single pyramid.
And that could have been the case. We don't know how long it took them to put this up.
Could you Google what the population of Egypt around that time was? Because, I mean, if it's 10,000 workers but they only have 5, like... I get it. It was probably the only civilization around then,
Yeah.
but...
I know when I was in Thailand, we went and toured all the temples and shit that they built. Way more recent than this. We're talking like 1500s, 1600s and stuff like that. But it took 100 years to build some of them. They're still working on some of them that they started 150 years ago. That they're still trying to
The
build.
Great Wall of China.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is never ending, and it's so windy. It doesn't follow anything. And then you have precise straight lines through miles of a desert. Have you tried to run a straight line in the middle of your room?
You probably couldn't do
You
it.
can't do... you're trying to look up everything. You can't do it. It's like damn near impossible. We're supposed to believe that someone up on a hill or...
Look to the left.
Roughly 50,000.
50, okay.
Roughly. So, a fifth of their population was slaves. It's possible. It's entirely
it
possible.
could even be more. Yeah, absolutely. But I like to believe that some, being came by with a laser and some gravitational pull and
I just think
some
it's...
being came by with
on his
jar of
crap
peanut
break.
butter and crazy idea.
It's... I don't know. You think about it, back then, this is still standing. Withheld the test of time. From their estimates, it's over 4,500 years
When
ago.
other shit has crumbled.
Buildings fall apart way sooner than that. I mean, bridges
Bridges.
collapse all the time. It's... I don't know.
I do
Pretty
think,
crazy.
though, they're pretty weathered. Like, if you go to visit them, like, they've done some work to keep them preserved. I think they've been pretty beat up.
Yeah, and that's where the idea of these galactic storms comes into play.
We're just working our way towards a reset.
If we get reset, you think they'll find like Mount Rushmore and be like, "What the hell is this?"
Aliens.
Aliens.
I don't know if I don't know if Mount Rushmore survives our reset, to tell you the truth. I mean, if you just think in the last, 2-3 years, how much we've tried to change history. We're changing lake names, we're tearing down statues, we're, in our nation, we're doing these things.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't be a crazy idea that Mount Rushmore is coming.
Mount Rushmore's staying.
A thought I had, I mean, we could be considered aliens, too. You know what I mean?
Well,
To-
to Canada,
we
we
were
are
placed on-
illegal aliens. Let's ask.
We don't
Star
belong
where he
there.
stands on that.
If we were in Canada illegally, we would be illegal aliens.
So we
Yes.
wouldn't belong there.
You don't. Yeah. Exactly.
What were you going to say?
Nothing. I wasn't wrong. I don't care what you guys try to turn it into.
You don't belong!
Speaking facts.
I love last week, Gage. I mean, like, what is God? Is God an alien?
That is my idea. You know, it's my crazy thought, sure, but when you have like a whole bunch of religions that are really, really, really close, but just a little bit different. It's like maybe like 10 people saw something, do something.
Game
And
of
they-
telephone.
Whatever it was, and all of them had their own fucking harebrained idea of what it was. They
That
all
is
went
true.
back home to their land and said this story.
Except for Scientology.
Everyone's got an opinion until science comes in. That's fact.
And
that-
Scientology is fact.
Just
Does that thumb
my
cruise?
2 cents. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like everyone saw something and made their own story off of it. You play the telephone game just around this room.
That's exactly what I was.
You
gonna
get
say.
10
All right.
different stories.
Let's start. Gage has a small penis.
Gage has a small penis.
Gage time traveled with a small penis.
I wasn't paying attention. All I heard was
Now
Gage
it's your
has
turn. Where does it start?
Gage's penis got smaller over time.
See? I mean,
Totally
telephone.
not fact.
Okay, did you tell
It was always small.
Gage is a vampire and he's 900 years old, which means his penis is really fucking small.
Gage
he's a
sucked the
daywalker.
dick of a giant vampire.
Gage, vampires like peanut butter, and so does Gage. They like them for different reasons. Vampires like to put it places. Gage likes, well, you know the rest of the story.
If you don't,
This
Just
will lead
DM
into
'em.
my movie next week.
all right.
Vampire dick sucking? What? Did I miss something?
The
It's
peanut
Gage's
butter.
movie of the
Hey,
week.
just a little bit. We're gonna give a little butthole PSA here. Vampires. Gage's peanut butter of choice is
Jif.
peanut butter.
Wrong answer.
Skip.
No, you skip.
You know what?
Sons
When
of
vampires
bitches.
want you to do this to them, they'll get Skippy. But for now, Jeff.
Yeah, don't come at me with that,
All
Jeff.
vampires on the podcast. You know where it's at.
Hit up your boy.
8 down.
So that wraps up Modern Marvels.
And it
In a
should
nutshell.
probably wrap up the podcast because Area 51 is going to be.
God, I hate you.
Well, am I right or am I right? Should we wait for next week for Area
I
51?
think we should creep on Area 51.
It's
just a little bit.
9:30.
Yeah.
You gotta get home. I gotta get an episode of
I got
TV
a
in
big
before I
test
fall
tomorrow.
asleep.
One tie, all tie. We wait. Just think of the tease
It'll
on
give
Area
people to
51.
watch the video that we put on our website.
Yeah. Little teaser for.
Has this been a half hour?
Yeah, 33 minutes.
Yeah, we gotta cut it.
God, I fucking
gotta
hate you
cut it.
guys.
Just remember, though, this is the biggest thing with coming up on Area 51. First of all, that was modern day Marvels. Good bit. A lot of shit aliens have done in the world. A lot of storms that have come through, too. And remember, dinosaurs have only been gone for 12,000 years. So,
BJ. Yeah, 2012 BJ.
as far as Area 51 goes, it's going to be next week. Area 51, Bob Lazar. There's one other thing that goes with Area 51.
Aliens.
Well, duh.
There's a lot of conspiracies that go along with it. It's not just aliens. There's also a guy named Victor. So if you want to look up Victor in Area 51 to get a little, what's the right word? A little research in. Yeah, a little warm up in. A little,
Get the juices flowing.
yeah, a little something, a little stretch.
Just Victor, like Russian Victor.
Like VICTOR Victor.
Like me after the draft.
No.
Oh,
Victor?
what was the place where the alien spacecraft landed?
Roswell.
Roswell. That's another one we're going to bring up next week. So, Roswell, Area 51, Bob Lazar, some guy named Victor, and everybody, all vampires. Remember, Gage prefers Jif. With that being said, thanks for checking out the podcast. Brandon has to wait another week of anticipation for Area 51.
I was up late last night putting information in.
Sending me shitty videos.
It was
Scaring me to death.
It was a good video.
It was good. I don't need it at 9:30 when my lights are off, dog. Another time,
Bro,
man.
your lights are always off, if you know what I'm saying.
Go jerk off.
Oh, boy.
Make sure to check us out on Facebook, Butthole. Check us out on Twitter as well, @OfficialButthole, Instagram, @OfficialButthole, TikTok, @OfficialButthole. And if you have questions or comments, email us at officialbutthole@gmail.com. Also, make sure to check out our Teespring website where we have sweatshirts and t-shirts, and our website itself where we post blogs and whatnot. Both of the links will be posted in our description for the episode. Please leave a rating on whichever platform you're listening on, as well as make sure to hit that subscribe button so we can continue to bring you the great content we create, as well as make it even better for the future. We love you all. Peace out.